Hi, I'm Alex and welcome to Just the Tip, episode 4. On today's episode, we're going to talk about last week's racing, future and all-in bets, and Caulfield this Saturday. First up, Friday night. Now, I put a few tips on my Facebook page for everyone that was interested, and the first one I hit was Ka-Ching. Now, I had a little each way on it, and I was, as I said, looking for further, but it looked really good, hit the line strong, backing up this week, but I think it's definitely a derby horse or something in the future. 2,000 metres looks its go. Next up, I backed in Chautauqua. Now, everybody, I think, in the world was on the $2 favourite, and I'm a bit disappointed with its run. It was off the bit from basically 800 to go, and it just never had any chance of catching him. Now, Extreme Choice was impressive as hell, and as a 3-year-old carrying 52 kilos, you have to, put that into equation, but was still very impressive. That turn of foot was so sickening to watch, especially when it wasn't coming from Chautauqua, that horse has a massive future. Now, I think another horse, Lucky Hustler, in that race was all off the bit as well, and I think that once you get out to 1,200, 1,400, then Lucky Hustler will be in the go as well. So after Friday night, we hit Saturday, and at Saturday, we got straight off to a good start with a winner with Lucky Liberty. Now, did a lot wrong, especially in the straight, but did enough to win, and that was a good each-way bet to start off the day. Next up, we had Miss Vista and that little Quinella. Now, she looked impressive out of the gates, and she hit the front really quickly, and I think that when she got let to roll along, that was totally fine. I thought that her out in front was the best place to be. There's no traffic out in front, but you could just see with 110 to go, she just ran out of steam, and Australia came up and swooped and won. And I still thought she could have held on for second, but she just couldn't make it, and she got beaten by 0.2, 0.3 of a length, unfortunately for us. Next up, we had Foreign Affair. Now, from a wide barrier, she just did too much work too early, not very good in the straight, and I reckon she'll head out into the paddock now, but definitely one to follow into the Oldham. And the last one on Saturday was Motown Lil. Now, I was really disappointed because she looked the winner, definitely one to back in next start. She just missed the kick, and she was just asked too much too early. She just, got on the chewy, and she just wasn't happy. Never got comfortable, was too far back in the run, and then she just was trying to weave through to find her way home. She finishes 4th. Now, it was probably a worst performance of the whole prep, and I definitely think if she's got one run left in it, it will be a winner. So definitely one to follow in next week. Now, my apologies. I thought that Shartin meeting was actually on Sunday, and I must have had way too many beers while filming last week because it was on Saturday night. But we'll go and have a look at the tips anyway. Now, Iron Boy was really good and won for us. And as I said, got that $2.10 with the Magic Man on his back, but definitely worth every cent. I doubled up there quite nicely. Next up, we had Not Listening to Me and Penophobia and that little Quinella. Now, I think they finished 3rd and 5th. And if you watch the replay, it wasn't that good to watch. But, Penophobia checks in Not Listening to Me in that straight, and she was going really well. Now, I think that, little bit of luck. I think it would have been a 1st and a 3rd or a 2nd and a 3rd. So probably still not going to get that win for you, but it was still an impressive run. They've both come back in good form, and I think they're both two to follow into the Shartin meetings. And lastly at Shartin, we had Dr. Listening. Now, got into his $1.65, and that was really short, and unfortunately that hurts when those horses don't get up. Now, it wasn't a very good ride, and it got a little bit too far back in the run, but hopefully next start it'll be winning for you, and at the hopefully $2.30, $2.40 mark, that's when we can get a winner there. Now we're going to talk about future and all-in bets. Now, future and all-in bets are basically you taking a little bit of a punt that a horse is going to keep going and win this race in the future. Now, the most popular ones are, your Cox Plate, your Melbourne Cup, Caulfield Cup, and they're the ones I like to pick out early and get a real big price on something that's coming to Australia or something that could win anyway. For example, in the Caulfield Cup, Jamaica only 2 weeks ago was 21 to 1, and now she's rock bottom favourite. Now, 2 weeks ago, she looked pretty good, and just before a Naturalism win, I was thinking, that's probably going to be the horse to watch, and she just came out and blitzed it, and now she's, rock bottom priced. The other thing is like Winx. You can lay anything into Winx all year. She's paying $2.75. She's now the $2 favourite. Now, I know Hartnell's coming, and, he's going to verse her too, but she's just going to be really too strong, I think. And so definitely future all-in bets is something to look at for if you're looking for a future punt. Now to this week's tips. Now we're at Caulfield, and race 1 is a 2-year-old handicap. Now I'm going, basically all on trials here and, rumours and hearsay. And I really like number 9, Wait for No One. Now, the camp's been pretty quiet about it, but putting Stephen Baster on, that's a pretty good sign with a 2-year-old coming out of the Dabney Stables. And I think that if there's a big betting move towards it, that's the one to follow. And number 4, Columbia, just on the, trial alone, looked impressive and, has a little bit more than above average talent. and that each way price might be something else to follow. But for me, it's probably going to be a no bet race because of just the 2 rolls and a lot can happen. But if you like something and you want to bet in every race, they're the ones I'm going to go with. Race 2 is the Herbert Power State. Now this is the race where Protectionist came 4th in or 5th in a couple of years ago and then went on to win a Melbourne Cup. So definitely looking at those, staying types to hit this race and go on from here. But with only 7 horses in it, it's a bit low on the acceptances this year, so you're not going to get that each way price. And with 4 horses within that, that $3 to $5 range, I'm going to try and stick away from here. You could have got $9 for Howard Be Thy Name during the week, and I think he's probably the one to beat, but now he's into that $3 price or something after being crunched, and I think that it's a bit risky. Stick away from this one as well. The first 2 races are a little bit up in the air, and then get on to race 3 where you can make some money. Now race 3, I've landed on number 10, In The Vanguard. Now if you look at her first 2 trials, you'll be very impressed. Both of them were under a tight hold and looked really good. Now especially that last one with 200 to go and Brenda Mandela just holds onto her and she just cruises away from the field. That made me look up and listen hard. Now at that $4, you're probably getting a good price now, but if it gets into $3.50, which is probably its rock bottom, I'm going to start looking away from her. But at the moment, she's the one to bet on. And the other one I like at the each way price is number 1, Selenia. Now her last start was a very impressive win, and when you're getting $13 to win and $3.80 to place, even with a couple of kilos extra than In The Vanguard, that once In The Vanguard gets in too short, your each way bet is going to be number 1, Selenia. Race 4, I've landed on number 3, Chetwood. Very talented galloper from Godolphin, and I think that at the price it is now, it's probably backable, but is going to get rolled in. Now, if you're going to look away from there, number 5, Badawir, and number 10, Rokkii. Both have a lot of good form, but they tend to burn the fingers of the tipsters. If you back them one week, they'll win, the next week they'll lose, and you just can't hit their form. It's just too inconsistent. So I think that number 3 is probably your safe bet, and number 5 and 10 if they drift a little or you're looking for something else. Race 5. Now where do you look? There's about 5 really talented horses in this race, and I've ended up landing on number 4, Sheidel. And I'm really scared of a few others, but I think that at that $4.20 price, you're getting a lot of overs because look at the stats. She's 102 rater in this race with 56 kilos and 3rd up. I think that's tick, 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 and all looking towards a win. And there's a lot of talent in this race, as I said, and I like number 3, Science Edition at massive overs. I think she's going to have a massive prep, and I think that when you're getting 12, 13 to 1, it's just out of this world overs, but Sheidel with that 3rd up gets ahead of her. Now number 1, Miss Gunpowder, has ended up at massive overs at 18 to 1. I think that, if you're looking somewhere else, 3rd up, she's the one to hit as well, but, not as good as Sheidel. Number 2, Secret Agenda, I think she likes it wet, so I'm going to risk her here. Number 10, Ravi, you got to respect the Sydney runner, looked very impressive its last few starts. I'm not sure how the form out of the race is turned out, but I think that if you watch the race just solo, that it looks really impressive, the coming second in that race. And number 14, Amara Australia. Now how good is she? Last week she looked really impressive, and as I said, she was the danger to Miss Vista and ended up winning by 2 or 3 lengths or something like that. On the 1 week back up, could be the only thing you could pot about her, but I've landed on Sheidel, and I think that Miss Gunpowder is your each way bet. Race 6. All aboard the Winx train. Toot toot. Now I think she'll come out and she'll win easy for you at that $1.20. I'm not going to put any money on it, but I'm definitely going to watch with a bit of interest. It's going to be a sit and sprint with only the 3 horses in the event, but I think that she's just all class. Hopefully she puts about 2 lengths on Blackheart Bart, so it makes it really interesting in the Cox Plate, and there's going to be a lot of talk about it. And she, lets down a little bit. Hugh Bowman just gives her a little couple of persuasions on the outside, and she just pushes through the line nicely. Now, race 7. I've landed on number 7, Samara Dancer. I think she has a massive each-way chance in this race. And that 19, 20 to 1 at the moment, it's massive overs. Now, our only fail start in my mind is that one where she had that bleeding attack afterwards. So forgive that. And I think all the rest of her starts have been good. She looks like she's going to handle the 1600, and she's a big horse. And if she gets the outside with a little bit of running room, I think that she could be in the mix at the end. Now, the obvious is number 4, Fox Play. And it's, been found in the market at that $3 price. If it drifts out a little bit, gets to about $4, I think that's where you can have a little bit of a win bet on Fox Play as well, and is, as I said, the obvious to beat. But I think that Samara Dancer at that each way price is the one. Now, a few of the other ones, obviously you give number 1, Whispering Brook, a forgive for its last run. Number 2, Miss Rock, has been found in the market as well, and that was that each way one I had last week. Number 3, Global Glamour. Now, her last 2 starts have been behind Fox Play, so I'm not really sure why she's so short in the market. Very talented horse, but I've just gone around her this time. Number 5, I Am a Star, got held up, had a nice little fourth though in the prelude and might have been missed a little bit. And I think that if she gets out and has a clear run, she'll be up there as well. As I said, La Luna Rossa, put the blinkers on please, because she's a good chasing horse, but if she gets to the front, I think she'll fail. Now number 10, Leotie, is a very interesting horse. Got scratched in the prelude at a 442nd favourite, went to Bendigo last Thursday and beat the older horses, giving them, about, I think it was about the same weight. I think that if she gets to the outside again, she'll be a chance. Now, her last 2 starts, if you watch it, when she gets to the front, she starts to lay in. And I'm not sure if that's, a bit of inexperience when you're getting out in front, or if it's, the horse getting tired. But I think that if she can power through that 1600 metres, she'll be running wide and late, and she could be something that flashes home as well. And the overs bet for sure is number 12, Harlow Gold. Now at $11, this horse has just been missed totally in the markets. It has different form lines to basically any of the other horses, but if you have a good look at its last 2 wins, it's very impressive. Now if you don't want to get on with the Samara Dancer bet, you think Fox plays too short, Harlow Gold is the bet for me. Now I know that I'm scattering around a little bit, but there's a lot of value in this market, so if you have a good study of the form guide and pick what you like, you can find something at big odds. Race number 8, the Caulfield Guineas. Now I've landed on something at a big juicy odds. Number 9, Wazzenme. Now if you look at its last 3 runs, it's placed, come 4th, come 5th, but it's never really got that clear run. It's come all the way from the back in the prelude, and I think that at $21, why would you not have a little bit each way? Now the obvious ones are number 2, Impending, number 4, Divine Prophet, because of that Sydney form. They are freaks, and I think it's probably going to be between those 2, but I can't go past number 9. Now at that each way price, I'm going to have a bit on, and I'm going to make it my bet of the day. Now you're thinking $21 is a bet of the day. I think he's just been forgotten in the markets, and I think that each way when you're getting like $5 a place is something to have a bit on, and I'm going to be, loading up myself, and I think it's definitely the each way bet of the day as well. Yeah, and the other horses in the market are probably number 1, Sacred Elixir, number 5, Haydock, which is probably a little bit of overs after that Moonee Valley win, 7, Seaburge. I'm just, I'm not convinced that was, his best run, but it'd been pretty close, so he may run a place. And number 12, Kaching, as I said, looking for further, and definitely one to follow onto your Derbies, your Oaks, like longer down the track. Race 9, the Toorak. Now this is another very hard race, and a lot of horses that, I've backed in the past, and I've thought about backing again this time, but there's nothing that's, safe, that's really good money. Now He's Our Rokkii is my top pick, but I'm not sure if I'll bet on him or not. 420 at the moment, and he's drawn 1, and I think that may have been a little low. He's pretty good the first 7 gates, and after that he's, a bit plain, but I think that 1 is going to be a very tricky gate in this type of race. There's going to be a lot of horses jostling for position, looking around a bit, and I think that would be his only negative, is drawing the pole. Now, I think, aside from that, Jacquinot Bay getting $8 the place is just ridiculous. This horse is placed at Group 1 level and then come 4th at Group 1 level behind the Blackheart Barts, the top classes of horses in Australia. And when you're getting $8 the place, if I don't have a little bit on that just because of the fact it's Jacquinot Bay and $8 the place, I don't know what's going to happen. Outside of that, number 7, Counterattack. Now, of course, that was my bet of the day last, fortnight ago, and it failed for us, but coming up at $8, that's well overs for the horse of this talent. And when you're looking at all the other horses in the field, it's definitely going to get its chance this time. It's not going to be anywhere near as close to the speed, and I hope that at that big price, it may bob up as well. The other horses I like, Awesome Rock, as I said, Forgive for his last one, not really sure on his bloods. Number 2, Toastman Stardom. Now, he's coming back from injury as well, and it's another one where you go, oh, I'm not sure. Bonorum, on fire. Won the Group 1 last start, and I think is going to be up there again. Number 6, Royal Rapture, has deserved his shot at the Group 1 glory, but probably a season short of it. And number 10, Thames Court. That each way odds at that lightweight is the way to go if you're looking for, a little bit of value outside of those first couple. And I think that if he gets a run like he did in his last start, he'll be doing better than finishing 4th. And to round out the day, race 10. Now, the Scalacci looks really strong again this year. Couple of imports coming in from the other states, and I think, though, that Hucklebuck is the best of them. Now, that $10, that each way price, I think having a little bit each way is the way to go. Now, his last start with 61 kilos was really impressive and hit the line strong. Bit of form coming out of that race as well, and I think that at that each way price is definitely one to follow. Now, number 5, Fell Swoop, off of a spell, went up to Queensland over the winter months and ran well. I think that probably is the class in the field, as well as number 7, Malaguira. But I think on their first ups, they're going to be a little bit soft. And Hucklebuck with 1 extra run in is probably going to be the one to go on. And number 11, Ocean Embers. Now, that each way price as well. She'll be storming home on the outside and could be a bit of a surprise. And I think if you go on her last 2 starts, that she'll be close. Number 12, Star Turn, is obviously the short price favourite at the moment and coming down from Sydney. But I can just poke a little bit of holes and I get a little bit more from Hucklebuck. And especially when you're getting, $10, that each way price, I think Hucklebuck's the one. Beautiful, and that's the tips for this week. Little shout out to Emma and everyone over in the States. Thank you for watching my videos, and hopefully we back a few winners. Beautiful, and that's it for just a tip this week. Thanks for everyone for watching, and a little shout out for you, Emma, over in the States. Just so shocking.
Nah, man.
Nah, good, it's good. Fuck it. Cut it, that's good. That's a take. We're wrap it up.